Okay, this next painting that I want to share with you is, again, a water-based oil paint called Night Sighting. And it has been in a storage unit for the last couple of years, so it's kind of dusty. So, nice little double entendre there with Night Sighting. We've got the Dark Knight, who is indeed Batman, in the night sky with the giant full moon behind. And then we have the sighting, which is in reference to this sighting over here, catching a glimpse of Batman at night through some kind of a recording device, camera. And then the double entendre of the sighting through this sight, which I believe is a weapon. Given the backstory of Bruce Wayne and the murder of his parents, that's just a supposition on my part, but I think. My brother's fascination and love of Batman, Darth Vader, Dracula, well, not so much Dracula, maybe a little bit, but Frankenstein, Godzilla. Someone close to him once simplified it down to the statement like, Mitchell's fascination with these toys was just a means of being able to hold on to his youth and his childhood. Well, yeah, there's some truth in that. But that's a gross oversimplification of what was really going on within my brother. This darkness that he shared with these characters. He empathized with them. He had the same inner demons. The difference between my brother and Batman would be that Batman was able to turn them all into sort of an outward, heroic. Mitchell did save people, don't get me wrong. As a teacher, I have countless letters from students, excuse me, thanking him. There were a couple of times I recall him telling me about students that he actually talked out of committing suicide. Those teenage years, those high school years, those volatile years where, life is messy for everyone, but, sometimes parents really make lives messy for these kids who are developing, and it can be a time where, I'll talk more about that later. My sister's also a high school teacher, and man, they're talking kids off the wall all the time. But, so he also saved people, but I don't know if Batman had as much of a self-destructive streak in him as Mitch did. He certainly, I guess in the sense that he was a lone wolf and he protected himself from having too many relationships. There's a similarity there. I think in some ways Mitch felt like he had a mythological beast that lived within him, and he did indeed personify and name his anxieties and obsessions the beast. He referred to them as if they were an outside thing that would envelop him and take over, and not schizophrenia. He didn't have multiple personalities or anything like that. Highly functional, obviously. He was a teacher for many, many years. But there was something inside that was always there. And I described this to someone once, that my brother chose to hang himself with a chain, which I know my husband thinks it's morbid that I share that with you. It's like unnecessary information, but that's part of my story. And I think that it wasn't merely because he didn't want it to fail and break, which is part of it. But I also think this symbol of the chain, of freeing himself, freeing his loved ones from him, but also freeing himself from his loved ones. And the beast. He felt this beast definitely, you'll see in the artwork as I show you over time, became bigger and stronger as time went on. And in the end, it overpowered him. And I tried to get him to not identify it as some other thing, because I felt that gave it a power that it weakened him. I wanted him to kind of take the mindful approach and see what these feelings were within himself and identify them as himself. But he was never interested in doing that. I think that it made more sense to him to see it as this other. I think it felt like that. It had to have felt like that. Just another being that would take over. And I think lots of people that we see in the news with these mass shootings, it's horrifying. And I think that they have this same kind of inner beast, but they turn it out onto other people. And Mitchell would never do that, though he could be incredibly cruel and bite your head off in a second. He could also be incredibly generous, caring, sensitive. And rather than turn it outward onto someone else, Mitchell turned it inward, and it became self-destructive.